Okay, Vinny, I'm looking over your work here, and I just wanted to talk through a couple of things that I kind of see that need a little bit of fixing. So, first of all, your first couple here look really good. I like that you're making your factor trees, and it looks like you're doing okay with the variables. And actually, throughout the whole thing, the variables look like you're doing fine. It's the numbers where you're having some issues. So, like here, for example, when you split the 40 up, you found this pair of twos, and then the 2 and the 5 were left over to make the 10, right? Great job. On this one, when you have that 3 that's already out front, you actually need to multiply that by the group of 2's that you took out. So this should be a 6 in front here, okay? Same thing with this one. This one should be a 4 instead of a 2 times 2. You just want to simplify that and write it all as one number, okay? Not a big deal. I just wanted to make that note. Now, coming down here, looking at the 1 over 81, obviously you notice that the fourth root of 81 is 3, but the fourth root of 1 over 81 is actually 1/3, okay? So because that's a fraction, like if you take 3 to the 4th power, you're not going to get 1 over 81. You're going to get 81. So in order for it to be the fourth root of a fraction, your answer needs to be a fraction. I hope I'm saying that in a way that makes sense for you. So then the same thing here with the 1 over 32, the fifth root of that is actually 1/2, not 2. Okay, so you're doing the work right to get the correct number. Like the fifth root of 32 is 2. That's correct, which means that the fifth root of 1 over 32 is 1 over 2. Okay. Now let's look at number 9 for a second. And what you kind of want to do is you kind of want to split this up, okay? And so start with the square root of 4, and then you're going to have the square root of r to the 8th, and then all of that is going to be over the square root of t to the 9th. Sorry, I'm having a hard time writing with this tonight. So your 2r to the 4th is great, no problem. Your t to the 4th is correct, and it's in the denominator, which is correct, but this leftover square root of t actually needs to be in the denominator with the t to the 4th. So because that t to the 9th, the whole thing was in the denominator before, even when you break it apart and simplify it, it still has to stay, the whole thing has to stay in the denominator. So your answer here should be 2r to the 4th on top over t to the 4th square root of t on the bottom, okay? That one's a little weird, and I get it, but we got to practice with some of these kind of like funky radicals. So that's kind of how you would fix that one a little bit. Number 10 looks great. Number 11, there's a couple things here. So first of all, 1 over 128. I see that you separated the 128 and you pulled out the 64, but that should actually be the square root of 64, which would be 8. And it needs to be a fraction. So this should be a 1/8 here. And then when you take the square root of 128 and you pull that 64 out, you still have a 2 left. Like if you make the factor tree for 128. I can't remember if we did that somewhere else. I don't think so. Anyways, so then inside the radical, you should also have like a 1/2 with the d. So it should be 1/8 c squared d cubed square root of 1/2 d. Or you could do square root of d over 2, as long as that d over 2 was inside the radical completely, okay? Number 12 is fine. In this case, the square root of a can be next to it because the square root of a was in the numerator. I personally would prefer if you had left it in the numerator, if you had written it like up here, simply because it's a little easier to work with. Say we had to plug something in, or we had to do something with it. It would be a little easier to work with if it was in the numerator, but the way you have it written is not incorrect. It's fine. It just maybe is a little nicer, a little cleaner if you put it up in that numerator like that, okay? But that's semantics, so don't worry about that too much. Number 13 is kind of a weird one because it actually doesn't simplify, right? So that one you can just leave as 8 over 9f cubed inside the radical. Number 14, when you take the square root of 40, So I'm not sure where the 3 came from, because it should be a 2. So I'm wondering if maybe you just wrote 3 because there were 3 2s instead of 2, which is what it should have been. Anyway, so that 3 should be a 2. But then you actually did this part really correct, which is awesome, where you had the p squared over 5 and all of it is inside the radical. So you left that fraction correct. Same with over here. This one looks really good. You simplified it perfectly. Okay, so it looks like you're kind of getting the hang of it. I don't want you to go back and redo any of these. I'm gonna give you a 10 out of 10 on it. But I do want you to kind of watch this and maybe think through some of the problems, just because I want to make sure that you truly understand it. And if you have any questions about what I'm saying, or like how I explained something, or like you see what I did here, but you're still not, like, it's not clicking, let me know, please, because I don't ever want you to be like super frustrated or not understanding when you just ask a question, and hopefully I can explain it. Okay, so anyways, that I just kind of wanted to go over that because there were like a lot of little things, nothing super like, oh, he doesn't get this, just like a couple of things that I wanted to make sure you understand, like why they are the way they are. Okay, again, if you have any questions, let me know, shoot me an email back and let me know like if I need to explain anything else better or differently, or in a way that makes sense. Okay, thanks.